What if the secret to truly living your golden years, not just existing, was sitting in your kitchen cabinet right now? I'm Dr. Ethan Vance, and that's a question I often find myself pondering after 3 decades in family medicine. My office, a cozy space with a worn leather armchair and a shelf full of well-read medical journals, has been a silent confidant to countless men navigating the complexities of aging. They come to me with a litany of aches, pains, and indignities, often whispering about problems they feel are too small or too embarrassing to bring up. Yet these very issues quietly erode their peace and connection. I've always believed that health isn't just the absence of disease, it's the presence of dignity, comfort, and the freedom to enjoy life's simple pleasures. But our modern medical system, for all its marvels, sometimes overlooks the subtle, persistent discomforts that can steal these very things from men in their golden years. We're often quick to reach for complex prescriptions or invasive procedures, forgetting that sometimes the most profound solutions are the simplest, waiting patiently for us to rediscover them. The real conflict, I've come to realize, isn't just the aging body, but the silent surrender to the idea that discomfort is an inevitable companion in old age. Take Mr. David Miller, for instance. A spry 68-year-old retired electrician, David embodied the quintessential Arizona spirit. Active, resilient, always tinkering with something. Yet the day he sat in my office, he seemed visibly uncomfortable, shifting in his seat. "Doc," he confessed, lowering his voice almost to a whisper, "this might sound trivial, but it's driving me crazy. My skin down there, around the groin, it just won't stop itching. It's so dry, so irritated. I've tried every cream, every powder from the drugstore. It's embarrassing, honestly. At night, it's worse. I toss and turn, wake up scratching, and it's starting to affect, well, how close I feel to my wife." David's story isn't unique. Countless men over 60 experience this silent torment, a persistent itch, a nagging dryness, an irritation that steals sleep and chips away at confidence. It's a problem rarely discussed at the golf course or the diner, but it isolates men, making them pull back from intimacy and feel less at home in their own skin. I listened intently, then leaned forward. "David," I said, a small smile playing on my lips, "what if I told you the answer might be something you've used to clean your fridge?" He blinked, a flicker of surprise, then skepticism in his eyes. "You're not talking about baking soda, are you, Doc?" I simply nodded. "I am. I want you to try something remarkably simple. A baking soda bath." I explained the process. Half a cup of baking soda in a warm bath, soaking for 15 to 20 minutes. The science is simple. As we age, our skin can become more acidic and reactive. Baking soda gently neutralizes that acidity, calms inflammation, and soothes agitated nerve endings. It's not some fancy chemical, just pure, uncomplicated relief. He left with a mixture of curiosity and doubt, but a week later, David was back, and this time he wasn't fidgeting. His smile was wide, genuine. He exclaimed, "Doc, I slept through the night for the first time in weeks. No itching, no tossing and turning. I feel clean, like myself again." He paused, a quieter, more profound appreciation in his eyes. "It's not just about the itch, Doc. It's about feeling comfortable enough to just be with my wife again. It's like a simple ritual that brings back my peace."
David's experience was just one of many. A powerful reminder that sometimes the most profound healing doesn't come from a complex prescription, but from a humble, everyday item. This was just the beginning of what baking soda could do. The next time, we'd tackle something even more fundamental: the simple joy of eating. What if the simple joy of a shared meal or a confident smile was being quietly stolen from you? That's a question that echoes in my clinic more often than you'd think. It's not just about what a man can do physically. It's about what he can enjoy. And when basic pleasures like eating or engaging in conversation become sources of anxiety or discomfort, life loses a significant part of its flavor. I've seen firsthand how these internal struggles can make a vibrant individual retreat into themselves, missing out on precious moments with loved ones. The battle many seniors face isn't always visible. It's the silent dread before a meal, or the unspoken worry during a conversation. These aren't just minor irritations, they're direct assaults on one's quality of life and sense of connection. Our patients often tell me how they miss the spontaneity, the freedom to just be themselves around others. Consider Mr. Frank Peterson, a 72-year-old former high school football coach from Texas. Frank used to be the life of every gathering, a man whose booming laugh filled a room. But lately, his tone had changed. He came to me with a quiet weariness in his eyes. "Doc," he sighed, "I can't enjoy food anymore. Everything gives me heartburn. Even the chili I've eaten my whole life. It's like my gut turned against me. That constant bloated, sluggish feeling. I miss sitting down for a family dinner without bracing myself." This is a common tale. As we age, our digestive systems can slow down, leading to more sensitivity and discomfort. Meals that once brought joy become sources of dread, causing many men to unnecessarily restrict their diets or rely on endless pills that often bring new problems. Then there was Mr. Henry Davis, a distinguished 79-year-old retired college professor from New England. Henry had recently made the transition to full dentures, a physical adjustment that often carries a heavy emotional weight. He sat across from me, looking utterly defeated. "Doc," he confessed, "I feel like I've lost part of myself. My mouth doesn't feel like mine anymore, and no matter how much I brush or rinse, it always smells like something's not right. I don't want to kiss my wife. I don't even want to talk too close to my grandkids." His words hit hard because they revealed a deeper fear, the fear of losing connection, of no longer being able to engage intimately with the people he loved, all because of an invisible problem. I knew exactly what they meant, and I also knew that the solutions didn't need to be complicated. For Frank, I recommended something almost too simple: half a teaspoon of baking soda dissolved in a glass of water after meals or when heartburn struck. It's a natural alkaline substance. It quickly neutralizes excess stomach acid, bringing rapid relief. For Henry, the advice was equally straightforward: a gentle, natural baking soda soak for his dentures, 1 teaspoon in a cup of warm water. It lifts away debris and neutralizes odors and bacteria without harsh chemicals. Both men were skeptical. "Baking soda, Doc? Really?" Frank mumbled. Henry furrowed his brow, used to more academic solutions. But they were desperate for relief.
A week later, Frank's face was transformed. "Doc," he exclaimed, his eyes shining, "I had lasagna for the first time in months. No burning, no pills, just that little glass of water you told me about." It wasn't just physical relief, it was the psychological freedom to enjoy a meal with his family again. Henry's energy had also shifted dramatically. "I feel normal again," he told me, a genuine smile replacing his earlier apprehension. "My wife even said I smelled like myself. I'm not worried when I talk to people." These small, almost imperceptible changes brought about by a humble pantry staple had a profound impact. They weren't just about easing discomfort. They were about reclaiming the basic joys of daily life, the pleasure of good food, the confidence in close conversation. But the body holds other discomforts, ones that can limit movement and steal the freedom we often take for granted. Next, we'll explore how baking soda can bring back the joy of mobility. What if something as simple as walking the dog or climbing a flight of stairs no longer felt like a punishing chore? For many men in their later years, the answer to that question isn't a pleasant one. Mobility, the very cornerstone of independence and a vibrant life, can slowly erode under the weight of aches, pains, and persistent discomforts. It's not just about getting from point A to point B. It's about the freedom to engage with the world, to pursue hobbies, to simply enjoy a stroll without a nagging worry in the back of your mind. I've seen how these physical limitations can shrink a man's world, leading to isolation and a profound sense of loss. The clinic often becomes the place where men reluctantly admit to these struggles. They're often proud, resilient individuals who have spent a lifetime being active, and the idea of being limited by their own bodies is a tough pill to swallow. Take Mr. Thomas Tom Riley, a 74-year-old retired construction worker from Ohio. Tom was a man built for hard work, his hands still calloused from years of wielding tools. But his feet, his trusty companions for decades, were now giving him grief. "Doc," he grumbled, his usual gruff demeanor softened by a hint of despair. "My feet ache constantly. The skin's cracking, especially between my toes, and the smell, it's just embarrassing, even to myself. My wife, bless her heart, she won't even let me put my feet on the couch anymore." This is incredibly common. Thinner skin, slowed circulation, and a propensity for fungal issues can turn a man's feet into a constant source of misery, impacting his mobility and even his relationships. Then there was Mr. Robert Bob Johnson, a 66-year-old retired truck driver from Florida. Bob was a big man with a big personality, but his face was etched with pain. "Doc," he said, wincing as he shifted, "this gout, it's like fire in my big toe. It comes out of nowhere and just cripples me. I can't walk, can't sleep, can't even wear a shoe. I feel like I'm falling apart." Gout, caused by a buildup of uric acid, is a brutal reality for many men, delivering excruciating pain that can bring life to a grinding halt. Bob, who once crisscrossed the country, now found himself trapped by his own body. I knew that while these issues were painful and debilitating, the solutions didn't have to be. For Tom, I recommended a simple ritual, a baking soda foot soak. A few tablespoons in warm water twice a week, I instructed. It neutralizes odor-causing bacteria, soothes inflammation, and discourages fungal growth. And, I added with a wink, try sprinkling a little baking soda directly into your shoes overnight. For Bob, battling gout, I suggested a complementary approach. Half a teaspoon of baking soda dissolved in a glass of water once a day during the early signs of a flare-up. I always emphasize this is an aid, not a replacement for prescribed medication. Both men looked at me with a mix of hope and bewilderment. Could something so simple truly tackle such persistent pain? A month later, Tom walked into my office with a spring in his step. "New feet, Doc," he announced, a wide grin spreading across his face. "The itching's gone, the cracks are healing, and the smell? Well, my wife even lets me put him on the couch again." It was a small victory, but it restored his dignity and encouraged him to be more active. Bob, too, reported a noticeable difference. "The pressure eased, the heat faded," he recounted. "It didn't make the gout vanish, but it gave me back a sense of control, Doc, the freedom to move without wincing, even just a little." These were not just physical improvements, they were profound acts of reclamation. The freedom to move, to walk without pain, to simply feel comfortable in one's own skin brought back a sense of agency and joy. But there are still other discomforts, often unspoken of, that chip away at a man's inner peace and dignity. Next, we'll delve into those sensitive areas, revealing how this everyday hero can offer surprising relief. Some discomforts are rarely spoken of, yet they quietly chip away at a man's dignity and peace. What if even these could be addressed with surprising ease? As a doctor, I've learned that true healing isn't just about mending bones or curing diseases. It's about restoring a man's entire self, his confidence, his comfort, and his ability to live life without shame or constant worry. There are certain health issues, deeply personal and often considered taboo, that can make a man feel isolated and diminished, even more so than visible ailments. The internal battles men face can be the hardest to acknowledge, let alone discuss. They touch upon fundamental aspects of self-respect and daily living. Consider Mr. Samuel Sam White, a vibrant 70-year-old from California. He'd always been an active, outgoing man, but lately a cloud seemed to hang over him. "Doc," he confided, his voice heavy with a mix of exhaustion and embarrassment, "every time I pee, it stings like hell, and that constant pressure in my lower abdomen, it never feels finished, no matter how many times I go. I hate talking about it, but I'm at my wit's end." This burning and frequent urge to urinate, often dismissed as just part of getting older, can chip away at a man's sense of control, making him anxious about public outings and stealing his precious sleep. While serious or prolonged cases require medical intervention, often the cause is mild irritation. And then there was Mr. George Thompson, a 71-year-old from Illinois. George was a stoic, no-nonsense kind of guy, not one to complain, but during a routine checkup, I noticed a subtle wince when he spoke. "Honestly, Doc, I can't eat without wincing. There's this canker sore in my mouth, keeps coming back. I brush, I rinse, nothing helps. Even a sip of warm coffee feels like fire." These tiny sores, often triggered by stress or minor trauma, can cause immense pain, making basic acts like eating, speaking, or even smiling feel agonizing, especially in a mouth that might already be prone to dryness and sensitivity with age.
I understood their silent pleas for relief. For Sam, I suggested a remarkably simple approach. Half a teaspoon of baking soda stirred into a glass of water once or twice a day for a few days. This helps neutralize the acidity in your urine, I explained, and when the urine becomes less acidic, the burn often fades. For George's canker sores, I recommended a gentle baking soda rinse. Half a teaspoon dissolved in a small glass of warm water, swished gently around the mouth 2 or 3 times a day. It's a mild alkaline with gentle antiseptic qualities, I assured him. It reduces acidity in your mouth and creates an environment where healing can happen faster, without irritating the healthy tissue around the sore. Sam and George, like many before them, were initially skeptical. How could such simple remedies address such profound discomforts? But by the second day, Sam called my office, a noticeable lightness in his voice. "It's not gone completely, Doc," he said, "but it's manageable. I'm not scared to use the bathroom anymore." That small change had a ripple effect. He started sleeping through the night, felt less on edge, and regained confidence in public. George, too, experienced a rapid transformation. Within a few days, his sore started shrinking, the sting faded, and by the end of the week, he was eating without flinching and smiling again. "It's the first time in days I've been able to enjoy a sandwich," he told me, genuine gratitude in his eyes. Throughout my decades in medicine, I've come to believe that real healing often begins with something quiet, something you already know, something that's been sitting on the shelf all along. Baking soda isn't a miracle cure. It won't turn back the clock or solve every problem. But what it can do, when used wisely and with intention, is help you feel better in the places that matter most. Think back to the men whose stories we've shared. David Miller found relief from the persistent itch and dryness of aging skin with a simple baking soda bath, reclaiming comfort and intimacy. Frank Peterson quieted his age-related indigestion and heartburn with a half teaspoon in water, allowing him to enjoy meals with his family again without dread. Tom Riley eased his aching, odorous, and cracking feet with a baking soda foot soak, restoring dignity and the freedom to move without self-consciousness. Henry Davis found confidence and connection again by using a gentle baking soda soak for his dentures, ensuring a clean, fresh mouth without harsh chemicals. Robert or Bob Johnson managed his debilitating gout flare-ups with a daily dose of baking soda and water, regaining a crucial sense of control over his body. Samuel Sam White calmed his urinary discomfort and the nagging burning sensation with baking soda and water, bringing him peace and less anxiety about daily life. And George Thompson soothed his painful canker sores with a simple baking soda rinse, allowing him to eat, speak, and laugh again without hesitation. Each of these small changes adds up. They might not seem life-changing at first glance, but they are. When your body starts to feel better, your mind follows. You stop bracing for discomfort. You sleep more soundly. You move with more confidence. You talk more freely. You smile without hesitation. These are not just medical outcomes, they're human ones. And for so many men over 60 in America, that shift, however subtle, makes all the difference. It reminds you that your health still matters, that you deserve relief, even if it comes from the most ordinary places. That aging doesn't mean giving up. It means listening closer, being gentler, choosing actions that honor what your body has carried you through. So the next time you reach for that familiar orange box in your cupboard, don't just see a cleaning product. See possibility. See comfort. See a way to take back control of the small moments that make up your life. If this message resonated with you, if even one of these tips brought you relief or a new perspective, I hope you'll consider how small changes can lead to profound comfort. And if you know another man who could use a little relief, a little strength, or a reminder that his body still matters, feel free to share this story with him. Because in the end, healing isn't about doing everything. It's about doing what works and doing it with intention.